Hi everybody, welcome to another tutorial on LayR, the multi-timbral synthesizer. In this video I would like to explain what you can achieve through the macro control panel. As you know, in LayR you can add instrument strips, and for each instrument strip you can have layers, and you can add layers up to 128. So your performance, which is what you have in your mixer view, can become quite complicated. And as we have seen in the first video, you can load a different performance here from this option. Now, as your performance builds up and becomes complicated, if you want to change in real time some of the parameters like filters, etc., and you want to apply those changes to all the different instruments and layers, that can be quite laborious. So this is where the macro control panel comes handy to help. So let's click on it, and this is the first view. So you can see there are 3 dials, and at the moment there is nothing assigned to the dials. So you have a reset button. If you click on the reset button, you have a number of options. So let's click on reset to factory macros, which is what you normally see when you initialize a performance, or you load a particular instrument which has the settings as the factory settings. So in this case, you see that there is filter associated to the dial. So if you move this, you will have the effect to change the filter, etc., resonance, attack. So let's try. As you can see, the attack is changing as much. The note takes longer to actually go up. And also, if you close the macro panel, what you will find is that the controls which are mapped against the macro control panel have a little m that you can see here. Okay, so let's expand, for example, the layer editor for this particular layer. And what you can see is that around this dial you have which means that the cutoff is mapped against that control. So that comes handy. So let's close now this view. Okay. Now let's go back to the macro control panel. Let's click reset. And let's go through the other option. Set dials to center. It will reset all the dials to the default position. Okay, so if you move them and you click set dials to center, they will go back to the center. If you make some changes through the layers and the settings for each layer, and then you set the center to the current state, it will take those settings for each of the layers in instrument strips and use those settings to synchronize those to the center of the dial. So it will move all the dials to the center, and it will take the current settings as the current state. We have seen the clear all functions. It will remove all the different settings. Let's try again. Okay, for each of the dials, and we have seen also the reset to factory macros as well, like so. So let's remove again all the assignment to all the dials. Let's exit the macro, and let's add another instrument and also expand that as well. So let's try to make an assignment. Let's click on the volume, hold, and here we have a new view where you can, here on the right hand side, you can assign the volume to that first macro, assign to macro number 1. If you click on that and we click exit, you will find that an M appears there straight away, as it appears here as well. And if you go back to the macro control panel, now you have the volume assigned to the first dial. And if you change it, you will see behind here that the volumes will go up and down. And also, let's try also to play some keys on the keyboard to see the effect. Okay, so you can continue like this. You can make other assignments throughout LayR for different layers. You can do it for send effects, to the layer reverb, for pan, or you can go inside the editor and you can actually assign the dials or to macro dials for a lot of the parameters inside the synth. Now, why is this useful? At the beginning I mentioned that this will become important, or it is important when you actually play with a performance. So to give you an idea, let's load the performance. Let's click on the load button. Let's go to factory app. Let's scroll down to one which I particularly like. It's called Planet of the Tapes. I'm going to load it. As soon as you load it, you will find that there is a latch function for the arpeggiator that will kick in and it will play straight away. I will close the window and then I will lower the volume so that you can hear my voice. So a very nice performance with a lot of instrument strip, and for each of the instruments, of course, a different layer. So quite a complicated one. And also for with an arpeggiator which is currently working. If we click here, if we have the arpeggiator which is working, there is a latch function. We'll see the arpeggiator in a future video, but at the moment it's playing in mode random, which is quite important from a performance perspective. So let's click on the macro, and here let's click on reset to factory mode. Here we are. So I'm going to now raise the volume, and I'm going to play with the filter modulation, the pitch modulation, the LFO, and you will hear what a fantastic effect you can achieve. You can hear almost like a siren sound, and that is your pitch modulation kicking in. And listen what happens when I act on the LFO. As you can hear, you can achieve fantastic effects manipulating the different dials and therefore the settings for each of the strips and layers using the macro control panel. Quite an interesting features. As I was playing around with the dial, if you click on hold, you access a new menu, which is the menu where you can set also the learning through an external controller, which will be acting on MIDI channel 16, but we'll look at that in another video. I hope you enjoyed and you find these useful, and as always, see you next time. Bye.